What's going on, folks? Rick here. I'm back with another video, and I'm here to do my full review of the LG V60. Now, some of you guys may have seen my last video, which was the first 24 hours with this device. I went over a couple of topics of things that I liked and things that I didn't, and we're going to discuss those in depth and elaborate on those things, and also let you guys know whether I changed my mind on some of those cons or some of those pros. First thing I'd like to discuss is the fingerprint scanner. Now, in my first video, I did mention that the fingerprint scanner initially worked about 45% of the time. It was really bad out the box, and I was really skeptical it was gonna get any better. They did send a software update, and that 45% turned into about 75%. So we're gonna do a fingerprint scanner test right now. There is no rhyme or reason to the false reads, I've kind of noticed. So sometimes it'll work flawlessly. I'll tap it, it'll work all the time for like 15, 20 times. And then other times it just won't read it, and I'll have to tap it 2, 3, 4 times. So with that being said, let's try it out. I've noticed though at this angle, it is working fairly well. And again, just take me for my word. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. See, like that, it wasn't working. See, now it's not working at all, and boom, it just worked. So you guys just witnessed that this fingerprint scanner is pretty temperamental. I do have to say, at this price point, a lot of competitors, a lot of mid-range competitors are getting a lot better, and one of the best optical fingerprint scanners I've seen so far has been from OnePlus. It's just instantaneous. You tap your finger on it and it just picks it up, and you don't have to worry about a false read. It just picks it up at all times, you know, unless you have something on your finger like water, or you just wash your hands or something of that sort. So I do have to give this like a C+ just on the fingerprint scanner alone. Okay, now let's touch about the display. So the display is a 1080p display at 60 Hertz. Now, this was one of my biggest dilemmas in whether to choose this or the OnePlus 8 base model offered by T-Mobile, was that refresh rate. That is definitely something big to me. The 1080p display was not a huge deal to me. I think at this point you really don't notice differences in screen quality unless you really are looking for it very distinctively and just very acutely, just looking to see for any imperfections. But on a normal day-to-day just usage, the screen quality is very good on this device. I do have to say though, like, this is not so much of display, but this is more talking about just the refresh rate. It is noticeable, you know, coming from a 90 Hertz phone, going all the way up to a 120 Hertz phone, you do notice the difference in speed. Now, there's a lot of lag on this device, and it's hard to replicate, but it just happens again randomly. Just like I mentioned with the fingerprint scanner, I'll try to start loading a page, and we'll try to pull something up and see if like pictures load. You know, I'm big into real estate, so I check it on a daily basis, and you know, there's just some, I don't know, let's just pick a random. Okay, so like take this for instance. On my Samsung device, the picture would load instantly. So I've noticed there's a big issue now. This particular listing has pictures, you know what I mean? Let's go to something else in case you guys don't believe me. Let's click on this. Again, this listing has pictures as well. I know for a fact I've seen this listing 100 times and on this website, and for some reason, like, pictures just have a real hard time loading. They take a very long time to load, and I've noticed, like, when I'm refreshing my screen, a lot of the elements that are towards the bottom just don't load at all, and I just have to close the app completely or crash the app completely and restart it, and I may get it. But this is something that's a really big issue for me, and it's really affecting the user experience. And in essence, now I did pause the video for a second and I still have the same picture up and it's still not loading. So as you can see, it says 2 of 20. So there are 20 pictures for this particular site, and it's just not pulling up and it's not loading. I'm not sure if it's LG software. I'm not sure if it's the refresh rate, but it's making my experience so bad that I really want to go to another device or go back to my S20 Ultra, because that would just pull up instantly. You know, I'm not gonna lie, some pictures may take a second or two, but obviously not this long, and the pictures are not loading at all. So while we're on the topic of software, let's just really get into it. So I mentioned in my last video, I'm not a fan of stock Android. I'm more of a fan of a skin version of Android, and I kind of see LG Skin as a kind of TouchWiz ripoff. I do notice there's a lot of features on here that I like. I like the added features that standard Android does not give you, but it's just so clunky. It's just very hard to do easy functions. It's just very, very slow. Now I think we'll segue into the camera app because it does have something to do with software. Let me pull something up here to take a picture of. I have to say picture quality on this is very good. It's amazing. The camera is I'm not gonna say on par with the S20 Ultra, but it's close to it. It takes very good shots. And that was one of the main reasons why I was deterred from purchasing the OnePlus 8, because I heard so many issues with the camera compared to this at this price point. So the cameras are very good, but let's go into that and you'll see some software issues. Some things I just, you know, I don't know why it is the way it is. So typically, all right, let's take a picture. All right, so this is your standard camera. Boom. Click on this. This is your 2x zoom. Again, a bit distorted, but let's autofocus. And then this is your wide angle camera. Okay, so we just taken 3 photos. Details are very good. It's very sharp. It's very vivid. It's hard to see through the screen, but it's very good. I'm not a fan of the camera app itself. Excuse me. I'm not a fan of the camera app itself. A lot of things is just, you know, it took me a second to realize that this was wide angle, this was regular, and this was the 2x zoom. I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. You know, usually other manufacturers, they'll put like a little icon of like a person, and then they'll put an icon of 3 people, and then they'll put an icon of a 2x, you know what I mean, to let you know what's what. And I don't know, I'm not a fan of it whatsoever. There's a lot of subfolders in here that you have to go through subfolder after subfolder just to access settings, and I'm just not a fan of the camera app itself, but the camera is great. It works very well. If you want to download like the Google camera app, I suggest doing that, so you get a lot of cool features. It's a little bit more basic and not so detailed, but you could get lost in all these subfolders on this camera app. Alright folks, so this is one of this device's shining features that I'm about to bring up, and that's its stereo speakers. I don't know why, it just feels a lot louder compared to other devices, the S20 Ultra, OnePlus devices that I have, LG devices. For some reason, this just seems super loud. I did a test in my first 24 hours with this device. We'll go through it again. We have some non-copyright music queued up right here. I'm just letting you know overall volume. So, okay, so we're at about, let's see, we're at about like a 70% volume. And again, this is where I told you that the volume on this is a bit deceiving. You'll go up from 0 to 70 and it's not that loud, and you think, oh man, this is not going to be a loud device. But for some reason, from 70 to 100, it just pumps up really loud bass, loud treble. You feel it resonating, you feel it vibrating, and I love the speakers on this device. So let's pump it up. Again, my phone or the video recorder I'm using now may not be doing justice to how loud the speakers are, but compared to a lot of other flagship devices out there, I have to give the LG V60 an A+ on that. Now let's just discuss the look. Okay, so you know, the hardware on this device, I think it feels premium. It does feel a little bit, let me wipe some of the fingerprints off. As you can tell, that it is a fingerprint magnet, but I like the look of it. Some people compare this to the S10 series. It looks very much like the S10 series, and it does. It has a lot of similarities to it, but the S10 series was a great series. It was a great device, and if you're gonna try to mimic somebody, mimicking Samsung's S10 series is a good place to start. Now this is the white version. It has like a pearl white look to it, as you can tell. It has a silver edge around the camera modules. Over here to your left, you have the, or actually the right, you have the volume buttons and the Google Assistant button, which is remappable. If you want to remap it to something else, I just left it in Google Assistant. And then over here to your left, you have your power button. So obviously that's going to be opposite because it is backwards right now. Over here on the bottom, let's get some focus. All right, so you have your speaker grill, a microphone, USB Type-C, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Now that was one of the things that I was kind of, you know, taken back by, that it still has a headphone jack. And for a device that has a headphone jack, you would figure they would throw headphones, you know, in the box. But I know LG has their own proprietary headphones, their wireless earbuds that they're trying to push out now. So I guess they want people to buy that. But if that's the case, then just get rid of the 3.5mm headphone jack anyway. I think it's safe to say at this point, most of the industry and most people are either using AirPods or Galaxy Buds or something of that sort, and you know, we've, you know, for the most part transitioned over to true wireless earbuds as opposed to having the 3.5mm headphone jack. For those that want that and still have that old style headphone, it does have a quad DAC, which enriches the sound. You do have an equalizer on here as well, and you could definitely utilize that if you want to use the old style 3.5mm headphones. Okay, so now let's talk about one major factor that may sway you or make you want to purchase a device is the connectivity, the 5G connectivity. So I have to say, let's try to zoom in a little bit. Sorry guys. All right. So as you just saw right now, I am in a lower level. I'm in a basement level of a regular framed house. So it's not no steel beams or anything in here. And I have to say the 5G connectivity is a bit flaky. I've never had an issue where the phone didn't work. I dropped a call. So call quality is good. But I can't help but notice, compared to something like the S20 Ultra, which has consistent 5G connectivity, this will fluctuate. It's going from 1 bar to 2 bars to 3 bars to 4 bars. I've never really seen 5 bars in my house, but it's doing this crazy fluctuation, and now it just went back to 4G LTE, and it's just like it's just fluctuating on its own to a point of this just can't be the reception of my area. It's just bouncing back and forth inconsistently, like from second to second. It's not even like 5G for like an hour or two or for 20 minutes or 10 minutes. It's just bouncing back and forth, as you can see right now. Something else that I felt like I had to mention as well, which was the micro SD card slot. So again, one of the key reasons why I decided to go with LG as opposed to OnePlus was the micro SD card expandability. Now, this is a 128 gigabyte device. The LG, I'm sorry, not the LG, the OnePlus 8 base is 128 gigabytes without expandable memory. That was a key feature for me for this device to have expandable memory. Now, this is not the first time, and this is not the first LG device, but every time I take my Samsung SD card and put it into an LG phone, it does not recognize the files. I'll take that SD card out, put it back into the Samsung device, and the files reappear. I've tried a whole bunch of tricks and tips to get the files to upload, but other than just fully like erasing all the data that's on that SD card and starting from scratch, that's the only way I can get these LG devices to really pick up those SD cards. Is it something to do with Samsung and competition with Samsung? I'm not sure. I know I bought my SD cards directly from Samsung, so it's not like a bootleg SD card or a knockoff. So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but all my pictures, my videos, and all that stuff that I have stored on my 512 gigabyte SD card, they just don't appear on the SD card when I put it in this LG phone. So that's something for you guys to think about. Some of you guys may be tech heads, other people may just be normal people that just want to take their SD card, take it from one phone, put it in another, and just have it work. And I notice when I go from a Samsung SD card into an LG phone, it just does not pick up the pictures or video. It does recognize that there is some sort of file or video there, but it's just blanked out, it's just grayed out. So I'm just really not sure what's going on with that. So in efforts to wrap up this video and not go too long, I think it's safe to say from what I've been saying about this device that I'm going to send this device back within my buyer's remorse time period. I am going to exchange it for the OnePlus 8 base model. That's the only model that T-Mobile offers, and it's unfortunate. I would have liked to go with the OnePlus 8 Pro and 256 gigabyte version, but I do have a jump upgrade to use on T-Mobile, so I have to stay within their ecosystem, and I'm gonna try the OnePlus 8 base 128 version. Now, a couple takeaways about the LG V60. It is a capable device. It is a very good device, and it's priced well. However, the issues that it has, I just think it would be better in a $100 less price point. If they offer this at $699, I think this would be a hell of a deal. I think at the $799 price point, which is a lot cheaper than a lot of other flagship devices out there that have 5G, but when you have OnePlus kicking at your heels and they have 90 to 120 hertz refresh rate, and they have a lot of the key features that really people want at a cheaper price point, I just can't see staying with this device. The reason why I really jumped on it above the OnePlus, because it just had everything. Had the 5G, had the wireless charging, it had better cameras, you know what I mean? It just had so many features that I said to myself, this is more bang for your buck. But in essence, when you really get into this device and really dissect this device, there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of unexplained issues, and maybe a lot of them could be fixed with software updates. But I'm just saying, from the whole LG user interface, from pictures not loading for me, from my SD card not working, from spotty 5G connectivity, you name it, it's just, you know, it just made the experience something that I really did not like, and I just decided I'm going to try something else that just works a little bit better for me. So this is a good device. LG, they usually come out with a device and within a month or two not a lot of people buy it, and they start drastically reducing the price point of these devices. I think if you wait maybe 2 months to pick this up at a $699 or even $500, it would be a steal. Some of the great points, again, speaker quality, 5G connectivity, even though it's a little bit flaky. The screen quality is great, the battery life is amazing, but overall it's just not for me. You know, some of you guys may like this, some of you guys may like the features that I mentioned, then go ahead and pick this up. Again, at $799, you're really not breaking the bank. Alright guys, that was my video. If you have any questions, any comments, leave it in the comment section below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Again, I should be picking up the OnePlus 8 base version, so be on the lookout for that video coming shortly.